Well, 5 games in, then the Sharks have still yet to find the win column. I don't know if we should be scared, optimistic, or just downright confused. We'll talk about all that and more on this edition of Teal Town After Dark, coming at you after the break. But first, if you want to be a part of the show and join the Chompversation, come and chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app across all the socials. That's the YouTube, the X, the Instagram, Facebook, Threads, the Reddits, the shenanigans on Discord, and then all of those youngins with the TikToks. Find all of that and more at tealtownusa.com. Of course, if you want to help support the podcast, at tealtownusa on the Venmo machine goes to working on this show, and we appreciate all of the support that you've already given throughout these many years. So, that being said, let me introduce my co-hosts, Tyler and Felix. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
The evening was going pretty good for the first 40 minutes, and from there, it could have been better.
It could have been better. I think that's the theme of the start of the season. But Felix, what were your thoughts tonight, and how are you doing, buddy?
Well, since it is was Los Tibbs night, I'm gonna start off with an hola, mis amigos, y my amigas. I can speak.
Hola, bienvenidos.
Sí.
¿Dónde
So,
estás la biblioteca?
I thought the Sharks. So this was obviously one of the better games the Sharks played. I really thought that. The problem is they obviously couldn't bury one, and we'll more into that in a moment. But yeah, no, I liked their effort, obviously a lot better than last night. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just I think right off the bat, I mean, the Sharks coming off of the loss from last night against the Mammoth, coming in on a short night. So again, it's good to see that the team, at the end of the day, I think would end up pretty decent on the shot counter. But unfortunately, just continuing on the same results that we've seen in these first 4 games prior. The Sharks are still mired in their own zone. A lot of the periods. I think there's still a lot of East-West play, and I think that there's still some reluctance to get that puck to the net and drive a little bit to the net. I still think I see some. I see an immature team. I mean, I think I see a young team, and quite honestly, this little stretch right now, this is when the veterans really need to step up and really need to be like, hey guys, you got to put some skin in the game to win. And right now, they're not doing enough.
Absolutely. I mean, to your point of not driving to the net, there was multiple times where, for better or for worse, whether or not it was the right decision, there was a lot of times where they just did not shoot the puck when it felt like that was the obvious decision to make.
So here's my take, and you sort of alluded to it, Landy, where as a young team, what you're seeing with a lot of the young teams is that they're obviously very very talented, but that also means they're gonna try a lot of things. They're gonna try a lot of dangles, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
as you put it, east west passes, just try to fake the D out. But this is the thing. This is the National Hockey League where defenders will gap up faster than you can say, break out. So it's yeah, no, that's something they're gonna have to work on, and that as much as I love him, that includes Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you guys put it on the dot there. And in that first period, I mean, the Sharks and the Penguins would go scoreless. Really, again, the Sharks did do a good job for the opening period and getting shots towards the net. I thought that Michael Misa was a nice little spark plug at the beginning of the game. I thought him being in the lineup was. acted as a little bit of a way to get the team, pulled in quickly from a creative standpoint. I saw him drive the net a few different times, and felt that he was, parking himself right in that crease. So good thing, good things that I'm seeing. But emblematic of the game, I think I saw, Wenberg, of Alexander Wimberg a couple of different times pass up the puck on obvious shots. And again, that's okay if you're able to generate some offense and able to score. But this team right now is struggling for offense. This team, really struggling to kind of just put any type of consistent offensive bursts together. Simplify it down, guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's I
Mhm.
wanted to yell at in my iPad that first period. It was just like, what? It's like, guys, like
I
I get it. We want to be creative, but you also got to pump pucks to the net.
I think, and that's the thing, and that's to your earlier point about being an immature team right now. I think, and look, to be fair, they obviously are trying to find ways to get pucks to the net, but also like you said, sometimes the best way to get pucks to the net is to actually get pucks to the net. So I
Yeah.
mean, you can be fancy all you want, you can pull the D out of position. Sometimes you have to do that because there are guys on that team that will block shots. But I do agree, Tyler, that there were a lot of opportunities that I saw, even where I was like, shoot the, puck. And so, so yeah,
So let's get to a super chat here, Felix,
yeah,
quickly.
We actually
Thank
have a
you, Bart's VMA. Appreciate it.
appreciate
Misa
it.
and Dickinson were nice tonight. Can't fault the team effort, but can fault the coaches for these lines. Smith and Celebrini score if together. I think that's a nice point you bring up there, Bart.
Mhm.
I think we have also questioned some of the coaching decisions. I know I was in the minority, but speaking about why Askarov didn't start in the first game, I think there's some questions about Michael Misa and how the Sharks are deploying him. Get that you want to make sure that you keep lighting the fire underneath him, but also don't want to suffer on his confidence either. So you don't want to pull a Barclay Goodrow on a Michael Misa.
Yeah.
Also, TK, they didn't score, but they looked to in the third. I agree. Yeah, that third period was the best period by far. $3 super chat donation, and thank you very much, TK. Also, very cool little logo there.
I also want to add on to, not only was it Dickinson and Misa looked strong, I actually thought that Iorio was looking quite strong this game. I do know that he was covering Crosby on the first goal, but when I saw his play, I mean, I felt he was doing exactly what he should have done. Maybe not the best passes and stuff like that, but I can't fault his defensive play. That first goal was really a strong effort by easily a Hall of Famer, Sidney Crosby.
I
I'm
mean,
not going to really fault him too much for that one.
I mean, at this point, first ballot, easy. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's going to be unanimous, but he's going to be. I think he's going to pull in like 95%.
Oh, I think anybody that doesn't say that on a first ballot, that Crosby isn't
I
going to
agree.
be crucified.
And yeah, but yeah,
I mean,
him and
have you
Ovi are
sorry,
going to
have you
be
seen
special.
the Writers Association votes lately?
Oh, that's true. You're not wrong.
That is
all right,
true.
let's get to the quotes.
Yeah, let's get to the quotes. Thank you, Felix. That's
Yeah.
exactly where I was going. AJ, thank you so much for the quote machines. Appreciate it. We had some good looks, but no execution there by Mac and Celebrini. And I think, as we all kind of said, very much so. Let's take a look at the next one here.
Yep.
We created some chaos, but it just feels like it wasn't there. I think we're a tight group, and it's hard when you do good things, and it feels like it hasn't connected yet. Celebrini.
Sorry, there was one more a little bit earlier. We've got more pucks to the net, more time on offense. We did a lot of good things except score. Also celebrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all true. I mean, there were so many opportunities, like the ones that just immediately come to mind. Smith had an excellent chance right there towards the end. I know Tyler Toffoli was inches away from putting one in the third. There were multiple opportunities that just, whether it's luck or skill of the defense, I don't know, but it did not happen today.
And AJ, thank you again. I mean, doing your yeoman's work. Appreciate it. At some points we connected, but we need to get on the same page with what we're trying to do. Yeah, I think, and this is, at least right now, Mackey is diagnosing the game and coming up with some strategy. And these quotes are sounding more like to his own team, and
Yeah.
as a hey, these are what we need to do. So that's a good positive sign, for him and his maturity level. I mean, we were already impressed when he got here. But again, I mean, if you don't think he's getting the C in the next 1 to 2 years, I think you're smoking something. Also, this one, because Logan, you've been a long time. Logan Teal 86, Nick Leddy is a lock for the Tylenol Hall of Fame. That's a good one. I like that one. But yeah, I agreed. So now let's get back into this game, shall we? So
Yep.
Going into that second period, the Sharks again looked fairly decent. I would say that there wasn't too many defensive lapses, but Sidney Crosby is going to Sidney Crosby and do one of those crazy deflections, and luckily we got to see Joe Pavelski for almost a decade do very similar things, but
Yeah.
Sidney, the kid can still play.
Well, I mean, how many times have we seen the stat sheet? Sidney Crosby from Letang and Raquel.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
So third goal of the season for Sidney Crosby, coming in 7:35. Letang and Raquel getting the assists there, and an innocent play. Honestly, kind of just started off at the very top of the blue line, and then Raquel kind of just doing a top circle pass. Letang.
I mean,
shooting it
sorry,
off kilter.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, Landy, but this is why you fire from everywhere, Sharks.
Yeah.
Saying.
I mean, it's exactly as I think we were saying at the top of the broadcast is that's what happens when you get the pucks to the net.
Yeah, exactly. And so we really do need to reading the Nick Leddy fake comment there. Sorry guys, I got sidetracked. And Michael Molasses, supposedly Nick Leddy. I don't think I don't like playing for the Sharks.
Nick
Quite
Leddy
frankly,
allegedly.
I could care less if I play good defense or not. Oh man, Michael, great one.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a bunch of good fake quotes out there for the last few games. I know I sent my own in the last broadcast talking about Nedelkjovic saying, we just need to stay in the net and make sure that nothing gets through the crease.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of Nedelkjovic, Felix, go ahead, read it off.
Yep. All right.
Go ahead.
So I thought we played on our toes, and it was entertaining hockey, which I agree. We could be tighter on D, but I think we played a good first period, which we lacked in previous games. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, especially on, I think the first back-to-back of the season, we definitely came out a bit sluggish, I think, but was able to pick it up through the rest of the game. That, for the most part, defense was tighter this game.
Yeah, agreed.
Go grab the next one.
Yep, let's pull the next one up there. Go ahead, Felix.
All right, we outplayed them in the second. They got a lucky bounce, but you keep going, and the next line needs to get it back for you. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
and they almost did. Immediately after that first goal from the Pens, there was a pretty good chance. I don't remember who got that one, but there was a good chance going back immediately off the faceoff.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there are moments, man, where the guys break out and it looks cohesive and they're able to generate some offense, like on a 2-on-1, just by using their speed through the zone. And again, you can kind of see the bones of where the team is going.
Yeah.
But it's just the consistency, right? And it's the lack of, I guess, urgency to move the puck out of their own zone that I think bothers me the most.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're trying to look for the best outlet pass.
Yeah.
Or they're just trying to relieve pressure without understanding how to push the puck out of their own zone.
Yep.
Well, and I know we got another quote coming in from Nedelkjovic, but after, can we also pull up the quote from Bay Area Oasis fan
Yeah.
after that? So we do have, when asked about facing his former team, well, I have to listen to Sid talk smack now, coming from Nedelkjovic, and I'm sure any Pen that's been on the Sharks have had to deal with that situation before.
Yeah. And Bay Area Oasis fan, we desperately need a better defensive prospect pool.
And to some extent, I think we do have a decent pool. The problem is defense is always the group that takes longer to build and bring into the NHL, because I know that we still have Eric Polkamp and Nate Miskey playing in the NCAA this season that have been looking good for a couple years, and they're probably looking to make at least a jump to the AHL either next year or even possibly being getting some looks in the NHL. I don't know if that's a plan for them next year, but they've been looking really strong.
Yeah. I think, as we've seen with the team, and we've seen all of the prospect rankings of the Sharks, go up and up and up, and I think that there are some unique, players that are still, percolating through the system. I would echo the sentiment that we have been drafting forward heavy, in the last few drafts, and I think that might be, we're starting to see, of the first couple of Greer drafts, we're starting to see some of the percolation come up now. And when he did go a little forward heavy in those first couple of drafts, you're seeing now a lack of stock, in the defensive prospects, which, I mean, necessitated, and let's talk about it, the waiver pickup. I mean, Adario has been, I mean, yesterday was not a great outing, for the first game being a Shark. But tonight, I mean, definitely held his own, and I felt that line, that pairing of him, and Letty wasn't horrible. So
no, I thought, like you said, coming in off of a waiver, I think that was literally the same day he went from being picked up off of waivers immediately into a lineup. That's a tough situation to be in. You don't have any practice with the team, and I don't even think he had a practice with them today. I mean, this was a back-to-back. I don't know if they had a morning practice that they were able to do, but definitely a tough situation. And today he looked a lot stronger.
Yep. All right. So quote Ned continued on the Penguins' first goal. Like I think Crosby thought Tanger was just gonna send that puck wide like usual, and you just closed his eyes, and he just closed his eyes, and he just hit his stick.
One guy, I think one guy that is very interesting for Howe Wong. I mean, it was one of the large.
Sorry. Correction, minor correction. It's How She Wong.
How she? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, how she? I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. He's going to be very similar to who was the big ass kid that we had, 6'7", Doug Wilson days. Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's gonna be a project, right?
Mhm.
But that would be something if he could materialize into half of what Chara was. I'd take a half of Chara.
He's definitely one that's probably going to be a longer development timeline. He's very raw, but I mean, of what we saw, especially in the prospect tournament, like there was some hot and there was some cold, even in the games of, when he was in a position that I think was to his strengths, you could see some of that raw talent coming out. But then I think a lot of the learned intuition was really difficult for him.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, as a kid who kind of came to hockey not necessarily late, but in a place where hockey is not necessarily the focused sport, you don't get the same level of development in the younger years. So maybe a little bit of that intuitive hockey knowledge will take a little bit longer to develop. But again, the Sharks have developed some good defensemen, and again, I think he's got the raw tools. You just got to see if he can put it together.
Mm.
And then Mirko, how she is on a heater starting the year in the OHL. Seems like a good kid, and he is a freak athletically. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too.
Mhm.
That's why we're all kind of interested.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna correct myself real quick. It's technically it by the Chinese pronunciation, it's Housey, but I mean,
House.
take your pick. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
All right. Well, let's get out and closing this game out, right, guys? So
Sure
in
thing.
that third period, the Sharks would come out, and I think honestly, of the three periods, even though they got scored on twice in the third, that was their best period, I think, of the game. I felt that they had some. I had urgency, and what I really liked actually in the last 5 minutes of the game prior to the empty net goal, they had a little bit of a flurry with the empty net. And there was a face off very down low. It was Celebrini versus Sidney Crosby, and Celebrini won it back and was able to set up, but really looked strong in the face off dot. So
yeah.
I liked that aspect of it. Now, of course, the Sharks and empty nets are never a good thing. And unfortunately, they'd let it in.
Mhm.
But again, I felt from a perspective of, in that third period, I thought that honestly that was the period which they looked like they had their best legs. But first, I guess we'll talk about the goal. 7 minutes and 2 seconds in, Anthony Mantha with his second. Now this one, unfortunately, was a blown coverage, and Mantha kind of just left alone. So
Yeah.
Tyler looks like he had something to say, and I think might have to do with maybe pressing defense and blowing an assignment.
Well, there's two things. One, there's some positive things that you brought up right before we got back into the third period goal, but also yes, talking about the blown coverage. I believe that was Letty took the shot instead of the pass, and it was sent over for the goal. And not only that, but also not only was it that we should be taking the pass instead of the shot, but I went back and watched, and that was definitely Skinner's man, who was not picking up his feet on the back check there, that left the extra man to just be wide open.
Yeah, Felix, you wanna take over on the Warsaw comment there? We lost him. Felix, you're muted.
Yeah, we
My
don't
bad.
know.
Sorry.
Yep, there we go.
All right. So a step in the right direction. Still giving up too much in our end. We still need to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, kind of the obvious there, but next one for Warsaw.
A good game for Amisa and Smith. They have to use that tool set. So yeah.
And then finally Warsaw.
Yep. We got better as the game went on, particularly on D. So yeah, I would agree with that.
All obvious statements here.
I think overall those statements were all true.
Yeah.
I think they took more risks in the third period, and that's really what we saw with some of the opportunities coming back as well. And the third period goal is another example of that. As we took some chances on the offensive zone, and then on the defensive zone we either struggled to get back or just Sometimes I think it was Celebrini got beat by whoever passed the puck. I need to check who got that assist. I believe it was Brazeau.
Yes, Justin Brazeau and Evgeny Malkin getting the first and second assist. Now, unfortunately, I would put the Sharks down 2-0. Going into the final stretch of the game, like we had said and kind of teased a little bit before, Sharks would get a power play and pull their attacker, and then unfortunately, the Penguins would end up scoring on the empty net at 1938. Gino getting the empty netter from Crosby and Carlson, and that would be your game 3-0 Penguins.
Yeah, and the thing that I wanted to bring up earlier when you were talking about the faceoffs, and honestly, the Sharks, a lot of their soft stats looked really good today. You're talking about how Celebrini looked good on the faceoff. I mean, we actually won 55% of the faceoffs, and I know somebody in the chat mentioned how Misa was also looking really strong in the dot. So some of the soft stats actually were really good for San Jose today, and that is something that they can build off of. And let's not forget that there were a couple of great hits that were laid out towards the end of the game.
Yeah, Orlov being really, really physical.
Mhm.
I thought Delandria did a really nice job crashing the net and being physical in the front. Yeah, I agree there with you, Tyler. I think what's starting to set in a little bit though is the frustration, right? You put 31 shots on goal and you've given yourself a really, really good chance. I mean, basically 2-0 going into 1938 of the third period.
Mhm.
So it's not like you can fault your goaltending. I mean, you see the scroll here, 923. You can't ask for your goaltender to do much more.
No,
So
and I
yeah,
can't put either of those goals on him.
yeah. So I think now it's that those are effort stats to me, right? Effort
Mhm.
stats are face-offs, effort stats are shots, effort stats are hit. So effort, good.
Yeah.
Execution, I think is like we've
Yeah.
all said, is where you're gonna make the pudding,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Another Warsaw quote, I think, from AJ. I'd give up one of my children for an effing win. He was joking, of course, but you can see the losing is taking a toll. Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine the losing is taking its toll even early. So
Yeah, and it sounds like Kleinberg and Liljegren will travel with the Sharks on the trip, unknown if they'll play again. Muka staying in San Jose and could be an IR candidate. So
Oof.
that's not good. I mean, the
Yeah, that's
Sharkies
really rough.
already banged up on the back end. So
Mhm.
oof, not good. Now, guys, we see a couple little smatters here and in there in the chat, and I think kind of maybe a good little talking point to kind of end us up here because we're almost running into that 30-minute mark.
Yep.
How are we feeling about Warsaw's job and how he's doing so far? What you're seeing and just overall thoughts on the coaching early on.
Do you want to start with Felix or shall I?
I'm still gathering my thoughts on that because I have a
All
few.
right,
But go ahead.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I've been fairly consistent on my messaging about what I think about Warsaw, and I think he's doing what he can with what he has. I mean, especially with we've been yelling at play Mook, play Mook, play Mook, and then it's finally coming out that he's actually injured, so you can't really play Mook. And for better or for worse, there were some red flags that we were already sounding for the defense pickups that we got in the offseason. I know I was not a fan of Orlov from what I saw in his days with Carolina. Letty was coming off of waivers, and the number of times you're picking up a good defenseman off of waivers is not high. And then Klingberg, we always knew was good offensively, but not always the best defensively. So, all the pickups that we got on the offseason have been a little bit shaky, and then, we're relying a lot on young defensemen. 22, I believe, is Iorio that we got off of waivers, and then you got Sam Dickinson at 19. Just a lot of question marks on the defense, and we're really seeing it this year. And I'm not sure how much Warsaw really can make magic happen with a bunch of question marks like this. And I think that's why we're seeing these lineups kind of being musical chairs, because we're trying to see what works.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Sorry.
I think that's a apt, an apt way to put it. Kind of a little bit on construction and a little bit on the coaching staff, more so on construction though. Felix, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, all great points by Tyler. I think at this point, um, look, this is a result-oriented league, and I'm not saying like Warsaw should or shouldn't be fired, but at the same time, I think he needs answers, and he needs answers fast because the longer this goes on, I think again, fair or not, this is gonna be put on his head, and if he doesn't get the results the organization is looking for, I mean, someone's got to get the axe, and that's just how it goes. So like, um, yeah, we'll see, I
I
guess.
mean, I'll say this. if the team is unable to generate offense and able to even just move the puck out of their own zone cleanly, in the next 5 games, I'm going to be very concerned.
Yeah.
Because as AJ put it, 15 straight losses going back to last season. The Sharks haven't won in almost a year, almost a calendar year.
Yeah.
And Warsaw's now, this is his set. He had a full, complete off season to put in his own regime, how to tailor the program the way he wants it. This year should be a more complete vision of how he wants the Sharks to play. And I'm not seeing a cohesive vision for how this team should play. And that is what's concerning more so than anything else. Just that there's just a lack of consistency between line to line, a lack of, again, execution north-south, a lot of this east-west play. And you would think that, again, the combination of the veterans, kind of helping the kids along with showing them what, effort. And I think, like I said, effort stats are good. But again, like Felix saying, if you don't get the results, it's scary.
By the way, Landi, I think you just got called out by Adrian chat.
Uh-oh.
Almost a calendar year.
Sorry, 2/3 of a calendar year. So, all right.
You're right.
Yeah,
what a coach does. The end game standing sheets are primarily going to be put on the head of a coach. We've seen it throughout the NHL, and you're right. Whether it's fair or not, because I'm sure we've seen a lot of coaches get fired for reasons that it's pretty much on the head of the GM. Looking at you, Buffalo. He does need to get something working, and I think that we've been primarily struggling with offense since probably game 3, because, the first 2 games, I don't think offense was our weakness.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to go back to going towards those top-heavy, Celebrini, Toffoli, Smith as the first line instead of trying to balance out the lines that I think we've been doing more so in the last 3 games.
Yeah. Well, gents, I think this is kind of where we start to wrap it up. So in case you missed it and you want to catch Teal Town again, or catch it everywhere, check out the YouTube Rewind. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell. You'll be alerted when we go live. Of course, long timers know after every game we go live. After news breaks, we fix it. But if you want to find the audio version, of course, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts. That would be the YouTube Music. You got the SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and of course, always on tealtownusa.com. Gents, I will start to end it out here. Mr. Felix, what and where can the people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
So y'all can find me tweeting about hockey on Felix Talks Puck on the Twitter, and whenever I get the chance, I know I've been super slacking off, but I also do occasionally, sometimes post music stuff on Felix Chow Music, that account. But my final thoughts are, at this point, I'm just looking for the aforementioned cohesion from this team. Like, I'd like this team to, just all the things that you address, like just be more urgent, and like just at some point, again, I know like we like to, or by we, the Sharks, this very young team, they like to pull defenders out of position and things like that, but those shots need to be on net, and I know Mac addressed that earlier tonight, but more shots on net would be preferred, and set up screens that just sometimes you got to be gritty, right? Sometimes you got to support each other. You got to work hard in the trenches, battle for those loose pucks and everything. It's just simplify the game. Sometimes just throw pucks on net and drive for rebounds, and like I'd
Good things
like to,
happen.
Exactly. I'd like to see this team get back to a little bit more of a gritty style and as much skill as I know they have. So
Yeah. Tyler?
To answer your first question, I go by NetFront Presence. You can find me on Blue Sky primarily, though I do occasionally check my X profile, though I don't really post on there. And then I'm very active on Discord and things like that, though I go by a different name on there. And you're on the Discord, you're not going to find me. Yeah, I want to see them focus on really hammering home the offense. Offense is our strong point right now. We are not going to win games by balancing out our offense. I do understand this was a back-to-back game, and I think we could see that in some of the plays, especially later. That foot speed was not the strongest thing at the end of the game. They were tired. It was a back-to-back, but I want to see some of those top lines. And I know somebody was saying that they want Misa, Celebrini, Smith. I want Misa to get second line center minutes. That's where I want to see him. He's been looking good. He made fantastic passes today.
I want to. Sorry, I just to piggyback off you. I want to see more Musa as well. Like I think he should be in the lineup more, just to get him more like that experience and show what he's gotten, add to the team. But
also get Dickinson more minutes. I mean, I think he was our strongest defenseman today. I mean, I think maybe one bad pass that I saw, but defensively he was strong. He didn't let anybody get by him. He was looking great.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for joining me. I'm at Eric Landi, of course, across all the social media garbages. Just use my first name and my last name. As far as my final thoughts are concerned, well, I think the team needs to really work out and work on their breakouts at this point. I think, again, simplification, and as my co-hosts have gone on and on and on, again, if you're going to trust those young guns, keep them in the lineup. But again, keep them focused and determined to do the simple play versus, trying to set up that magical play.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as all of us from Teal Town, USA, thanks for checking us out. We are on the quest for 4,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can do it this year.
Hit that sub button, y'all. Hit that sub button. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't also say, if you haven't already, then why haven't you? Hit that like button too, please.
Yeah, and if you want to get your voice heard, leave those comments down on the bottom, and we'll try to get back to them next go around on this thing. But we'll see you after the game on Tuesday against the New York Islanders. Thanks, and have a great evening.